Right on. All right. Now, we last left off with this idea of trying to define what is literature, did we not? Well, that's some good tea. Got back from Taiwan a couple days ago, last week. Oh, got me some good old green tea. I don't even know how to say tea in Dakota anymore. No, Pejuta Sapa is coffee, is it? Well, anyway, quit messing around and stay focused. We were discussing literature. We were discussing what is and what is not literature, and we were talking about how in dominating society, literature is often defined in an exclusionary way, and we want to open up the canons and broaden it to include the oral tradition and other non canonical works, including us natives. By the way, people are always asking me, and again, I apologize for all the me, I stuff. But, well, you need to know a little teeny tiny bit about this old crazy, gray haired old fart standing in front of you. The reason why I'm so goofy looking is because not only am I Potawatomi, but on mom's side of the family, we are Micronesian, sort of like miniature Samoans, the island, Pacific Islander. So yeah, that's why I'm a little weird looking, but never mind. I could tell you some island stories later, but not right now. We don't have enough time. We're going to stay focused. We're going to talk about native creation stories, and mostly North and South and Central America. Let's see if I can pull up a nice little map for us. It's not going to work. Doggone it. Well, rather than me run back and forth between the screen and the computer, let's explain why I put on here no right or wrong versions. None are better than the other. What is that all about? This is one of the cool things about being a native. If you look at non-native cultures or societies, whatever you want to call it, they're oftentimes fighting over versions of the Bible, whose religion is better, whose stories are better. But one cool thing about being an Indian is that we, as natives, usually do not say, my story's right and your story's wrong. We have different versions and we compare and we say, hey, that's kind of cool how your version's this way and our version's that way. That's kind of neat. But that being said, keep in mind there are a whole bunch of different creation stories, and we're dealing primarily with the cosmological part. We're not even going to get to the human parts yet. Now I got to walk over here to the screen. So, as we proceed, let me minimize this and pull this up. It says here, indigenous creation stories, also known as origin myths, explain the beginnings of the world and the creation of humanity. I'm going to skip the creation of humanity because we haven't gotten there yet. With diverse cultural traditions such as the Cherokee, Anishinaabe, Iroquois, and others, they often feature the earth diver motif, where animals or spirits bring mud from the water to form land, or explain how the first people were created. We're going to skip the first people. These myths serve to pass down spiritual belief, cultural histories, and origin instructions, or natural laws for living in balance with the environment. Ooh, there we go. Remember I said that before? Yes. Here's some examples. The Cherokees say that a water beetle brought up the mud from the earth's bottom to form the earth. The Anishinaabe, sometimes known as Chippewa, sometimes known as the, what's the other name they give them? Chippewa, Soto up in Canada, we call it. Anyway, they say Kichimanitu, created man from the four sacred elements, blah, 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 blah. The Haudenosaunee Iroquois. Sky Woman fell from Sky World, and animals helped to create the earth by making it on eternals. Turtles. Back. Navajo is one of my favorite or most interesting ones where they talk about more than one world and different levels. World 1, World 2, multiple creations and destructions before our current world and people are formed. Let me go back to our own. Pull this up. Boom. Now, I'm going to also focus on the circumpolar regions in the northwest coast. What do I mean by that? Let's look at a map. So this is the frozen area here, you see. Canada! Oh, Canada! And Alaska. And Washington and parts of Oregon. They're going to tell stories about Raven and the sea, and how Raven cooperated with other spirit beings to create the earth. And in the beginning, there was darkness and a whole lot of water. And the creator is usually the divine one. He's in charge and he directs Raven or the other animals. They all get together and they make the world. The Great Plains, primarily us here in South Dakota, all the way down to Oklahoma and parts south. We're going to talk about Wakantanka, or another name similar, and there's an earth diver story as well. There's a whole lot of water everywhere, and we need somebody to go down, dive down, and get some earth and bring it up and stick it on the back of a turtle. And the sea turtle is swimming around. They put the earth on the turtle, and the earth, it creates dry land, and they go off and make more plants and animals and trees and stuff. The woodlands, that's my tribe. I am a woodlands Indian primarily. There's another earth diver story, but Wiske is the one in charge. Well, it's the creator. We call him Kichimanitu. Kichimanitu. Again, we start with darkness and a lot of water. And Kichimanitu tells Wiske, hey, we need to make some dry land, and he does so. The story, a little bit, I'll tell a little tiny bit of Wiske and the Earth Diver story. It has to do with destruction. There was a previous, I don't want to, oh, look at all the dogs. I'm getting, my ADHD's acting up. Squirrel! But in this case, dogs! Out the window, there's a bunch of dogs running around on campus. Oh, they're so cute. All right, focus. Bad. Focus. Right. The Indian story, my tribe, the runaway band Potawatomi Indians. We tell a story about, there was a previous version of the earth, I would say. It's hard to explain, but there were a lot of monsters. If you look at the Bible, there's even, the Christian Bible and the Jewish, I think they call it the Torah, and the Muslim, the Quran. There's stories about, there was a previous, I don't know what you want to call it, not a previous version of the earth, but there was a bunch of bad dudes, bad evil monsters and stuff on the planet, and they were making a ruckus and causing trouble, you see. And the creator, Kichimanitu, said, oh, no, we can't have this. So he made a big old flood and washed them all away. And then we start off with Coyote is one of the few survivors, and a couple sea creatures, and turtle, and some birds, duck, and a little coot, and some other animals, and they're all floating on some logs or whatever. And they're like, whew, man, that was a terrible storm. What do we do now? And Coyote says, or in this case, we call him Wiske in my language. The creator tells Coyote, well, you got to start over, make new world, make new planets, make new life. And he doesn't tell, the creator does not tell Wiske how to do this. He just says, get it done. So Wiske is sitting on this log, floating in all this water, and what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? He said, oh, I got an idea. And this is where the earth diver part comes in. He says, I need some dry land or some mud from way down, and I can pull it up and toss it like a pizza and spread it out and make more land, and we can start over. And the other birds, there's a heron, And the heron says, "Oh, I can do that." He jumps in the water and swims down, and he's gone for a long time, and he comes back. I can't do it. It's too deep. So duck says, "Quack, quack, quack. I can do it. I can do it." Quack. And he jumps in the water, and he the little duck butt sticks up, and his little feet flippity flappity, and he goes down, 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 and he comes back up, and I can't do it either. Quack, 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 it's too deep. And then there's this little itty bitty black bird called a coot. Sometimes they say, no, 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 it's not coot, it's otter, or some people say another creature, a little bitty, I forget, not varmint, marmon or something, marmot. Anyway, some little itty bitty creature. And in my family story, we say it's a little black coot, which is like a little miniature black duck. And all the other creatures laugh. You're the little bitty thing, you can't do it. But Coyote says, wait, Coyote or Whiskey says, no, no, no. Let him try. Stop laughing at him. So little Coot jumps down, jumps into the water, dives, 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 and he's gone a very long time. Very, very, very long time. And as the other animals are starting to worry, you see, because he's gone so long, and suddenly his body floats up, and in his beak, they look at him and he's dead, but in his beak he's got a little mud. So Coyote scoops his poor limp body, poor little black bird out of the water, and sets him on his lap. He takes from his beak the little bit of mud, and he spins it and tosses it like a pizza, and gets bigger and bigger, and there's sea turtle or the turtles floating by, and turtle volunteers his back, and so they put the earth on the turtle's back and create dry land and trees, and the animals are so saddened about poor Coot, who sacrificed his life so that we can have a new earth. And Coyote felt sorry as well, and Coyote, or Whiskey, second in command, at least in our tribe, we say he's sometimes a fool, but sometimes he's very powerful. I should say he's always powerful, but most of the time he's a fool, but sometimes he's wise. There we go. Coyote, in his wisdom, took a deep breath and breathed life back into Coot, and Coot woke up, and he set Coot in the water and blessed him with the ability to be one of the greatest aquatic birds that we have. Now, that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. That is the Woodlands Potawatomi Runaway Band version of Earth Diver. Again, the Great Plains have one. I don't remember which animal successfully dives down. You guys are going to have to tell me. Then we got Southwest and Mesoamerica. There's oftentimes multiple tries of creation. And Leslie Silko and the late Paula Gunn Allen said there was a woman called Spider Woman. Sometimes they called her Thought Woman. And instead of saying, "Let there be light," she just had to think about it. And whatever she thought would appear. So she thought, we need some land. There was land. We need some plants and trees. There were plants and trees. That's Southwest and Mesoamerica. There's a bunch of versions of this, keep in mind. The West Coast, this is primarily California up to southern Oregon and parts of Mexico, Baja California, Norte and Sur. There's stories of coyote and spirit beings also, but there's a lot more references to specific landmarks, like the Santa Rosa Mountains were created when this happened, and this and that was these mountains over here. There's all these cool stories. Every rock has a story, every mountain ridge. It figures in a lot of these West Coast creation stories, as we shall see. Keep in mind, as opposed to dominating society's discussion of creation, native stories about creation are frequently cooperative. What else? Like I said before, we've got earth divers. We often have that. We often have other spirits involved. Whereas in the Bibles or the Judeo-Christian stories will have only God doing it. And a lot of native stories, we have a cooperative effort of many spirit beings and animals, and they all get together and they do it together. And there's oftentimes elements of self-sacrifice. Some of the stories will tell of a woman or a man or an animal that sacrifices his or her life so that other creatures can live. Or maybe they'll split the creature in parts, and the spine will be these mountains over here, and the blood is the water, and the sweat and tears are the rains of the creature, whatever it is, but you'll oftentimes see that in native stories. Now, this is going to be a shorter version, this lecture, part 3. Here comes our challenge question for you. What distinguishes? I already gave some of it away, but keep this in mind because it might show up on a quiz. What do you think? What do you think distinguishes indigenous literatures from mainstream literatures? Why is our writing, the stories we tell, why is it different? There are some similarities, of course, but what are some things that make us stand out? Now, for your homework, continue on in our Native American literature discussion. If it says, please reply, I want you to have a look at it and click on the discussion forum where it says add. Let me click on it. Let's click, 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 click. Open it up. Click on it where it says add a new discussion topic. So now keep in mind these articles of where I come from is like this and is male to female as nature is to culture. They are very long-winded. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and you don't have to sit there and go, an American Indian woman is primarily defined by her tribal identity. In her... Don't do that. That's not how you read. Have a look. Take an eye photograph. Oh yeah, modern American women, like their non-native sisters, there's some things that are similar, some things that are different. American Indian woman, we are tribal as opposed to non-natives, but no tribal definitions. We are not the same as Western industrial, post-industrial cultures. How are we different? Well, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Here's some stories. I'm a half-breed Indian woman. I see negative... I'm thinking about negative images of Indian women, and they're not really negative. Blah, 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 blah. Our stories have lots of ceremonies and stuff. Sometimes there's evil women, sometimes there's good women, but there's specific women. But there's no way that we're going to see all women as evil, and there's no way that we're going to see that women are subjugated, unlike in Western dominating societies. We got Coyote woman, grandmother spider, blah, 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 blah. Anglo-European women, yada, yada. Go fast is what I'm trying to tell you. Don't get all hung up on every single freaking word because it's going to drive you nuts. You're going to tear your hair out and you're going to hate Professor Victor Singingeagle. Now, the same thing goes with Sherry Ortner. Her article is even longer. Let's click on it again. Maybe it's not longer, but it's more labor intensive. With a whole bunch of big words. Just have a quick look at it. Remember what I told you. She's arguing the universality of female subordination. It doesn't matter where you go in the world. Women are always looked down and beat down by men. Dominating, what do they call it? male toxicity or something like that. Toxic masculinity is the new word they throw around nowadays. And just have a quick peek. She's arguing that, well, women are closer to nature because they move in cycles, and the moon cycles and the body functions, yada yada yada. And because women are closer to nature, they're in by males considered inferior because men are closer to culture, you see, because that's why when you go to elementary school and kindergarten, all the teachers are girls, and then when you get up in the higher levels, the college level, you start seeing more guys, and pretty soon it's all guys. That's her kind of the gist of her argument. But she also talks about, she starts overstepping her bounds when she starts messing with Indians. Now, I'll let you look at it because I think I have sufficiently salted your oats. Again, do not get hung up on every single words because it will drive you nuts. Just have a look. And then once you do that, click on respond. Look at my questions. Why does your professor say Alan's essay is a direct response? I can't prove it, but I betcha that Paula Gunn Allen, is responding to Sherry Ortner. Number two, how might Allen define culture? She doesn't give you a direct definition of culture, but how might she, this is Paula Gunn Allen, the Acoma writer, how would she define culture as opposed to what Sherry Ortner says? What the heck does any of this have to do with Native American literature? Ooh, I kind of answered some of this, but it's going to be a nice paragraph or two. That's your homework. Where's the other homework? Yes, make sure you get the textbooks. Why Indigenous Literatures Matter. And read, listen, tell. Make sure you get those textbooks and read the introductions and preferences, like I said before. Extra credit. Find out what's your Chinese zodiac. Where did I find that? Let me go back to our class. Week 2. I think I created a little doohickey here for you guys. Where's the doohickey? Going too fast. Extra credit. What's your Chinese zodiac? Fall 2025. Are you a Niu or a Lao Hu or a Tuzi or a Long or a Shi or a Ma or a Yang or a Houzi or a Ji, Gou, Zhu or Lao Shu? Which one are you? There is a method to your professor, and you can even watch this video, the myth behind the Chinese. What the heck does this have to do with Native American literature? This is extra credit, okay? Now, the other thing I want you to do is click on, did I lose it? I think I lost it. The Popol Vuh. Again, this is not going to be like any movie or anything that you've ever read. It's almost like a dream. And it's a very old video from like the early 1980s or even older, the video that they made of the Popol Vuh. So grab yourself a pizza or popcorn, whatever, and sit back and relax because it's really dreamy quality to this video. Don't get hung up on trying to understand every single thing because, as you know, a lot of Native stories, they do not move in linear fashion. As you watch the video, you're going to realize what I'm talking about. You're like, man, this is a weird movie. I might as well be smoking some weed while I'm watching this. Because, it's really a dreamy quality and things don't always follow a logical progression. Just enjoy it, is what I'm trying to tell you. And then add your own response to it. You don't even have to answer any questions in particular. What did you think of the video? That's pretty free. Have you actually read this story? Like, have you gone on to Google and looked up the story? It's a really hard read as well. Do any of the various elements of the story remind you of other sacred myths? please hit the add discussion button. Let your fingers fly. So you click here. It's going to open it up. And then, oh, look at that. Already got 1, 2, 3 people already did it right on. Good job, y'all. Add discussion topic or new discussion topic and let your fingers fly. It doesn't have to be big, long, drawn out yakety yak, but just some good, a paragraph or two will do just fine. Okay? All right. Thank you so much. You guys have a good rest of the day, and I will see you on Wednesday. Talk to you later. Bye bye. Holy cats, 25 freaking minutes! Stop!